That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 66. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and it's time to talk about the Knicks season coming to an end. The Nets did advance earlier in the week. They defeated the Boston Celtics and moved to the second round to play the Milwaukee Bucks, which starts on Saturday. But of course, today's conversation and tonight for episode 66, we got to start in one place. The New York Knicks season comes to an end. The Atlanta Hawks defeat New York. Atlanta takes the series 4-1. And they took 2 out of 3 at Madison Square Garden. Alex, I know the answer to this, but I start every episode asking it, so I still have to do it. How are you?
Uh, been better, bro. Been better. That was rough. That was embarrassing. This whole series was embarrassing. They got punked. They pretty much had 2 good quarters this entire series, and that was in game 2. I mean, they had a good quarter here and there. I guess that's going a little too far, but they were just it was not good. You know, they were relying too much on Derrick Rose early in the series, and you knew he was going to turn into a pumpkin eventually. He wasn't going to keep that up. Alec Burks gave us a big game 1. They wasted Burks and Rose going off. Usually, when your role players go off, you can win a series when they go off like that. And Randall didn't show up. He was just they were triple teaming him. He had nowhere to go. RJ Barrett didn't put up enough points in this series until tonight. He was playing well. There was a couple times that it was just, I couldn't put my foot on it. Is that the term? I can't even think. I couldn't put my finger on it, not my foot.
I know you're saying. We know what you're saying.
I could have put my toe on it. It's just what was going on. What exactly was wrong with them? But the Hawks got in their head, and the Knicks were too worried about fighting. And I loved it. I loved that they were getting in their face. I really did at the time. But you can't get in the guy's face. You can't talk trash and then get embarrassed like that. You lose on a game winner. You lose on a last shot with 30 seconds left. Fine, you know what I mean. But losing like this, losing the last 2 games, really bad. It's just fucking embarrassing. Excuse my language. I can't stand this. I can't stand the fans cheering after the game. I know it's a great season. Okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They weren't supposed to be here. They didn't belong here, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, I can't sit there and cheer for that, man. I can't sit there and be happy about that. I can't sit there and say, oh, great job, guys. Okay, we did it. We made it to the first round and got embarrassed. Give me a break, man. Save me the moral victories in a month when this offseason starts. Right now, I'm distraught. I'm fuming. I'm angry. Any kind of adjective you can think of, that's me right now. So in a long answer, that's how I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I know, but I wanted to give you the platform to let it release it. Yeah,
Let it out.
The Knicks were embarrassed. I mean, coming into the series, talking a lot of smack and talking about how well they would play and how well their regular
They
season.
wanted Atlanta, right?
They wanted Atlanta, and Atlanta took that personal. I mean, they really did, and they were Trae Young. Just even though he didn't shoot the ball super well, he just controlled the tempo of the game, and he got the Hawks whatever they wanted. And Clint Capella, who's coming in with a big mouth into this game, he backed it up. He really
He
was a force on the defensive end, blocking shots, rebounding. He was a terror for the Knicks, and he really caused so many problems. So kudos to the Hawks for bringing the smack and then backing it up and getting the victory. But you're right. The Knicks, basically, if they don't have a huge surge in the second half and get behind the Great Garden crowd in game 2, that's sweet. I mean, that's sweet. Yeah. And that's basketball. They got the win. But other than that, I mean, since games 3 on, the Hawks just controlled it, and they could have won this game by a lot more. They missed so many shots, the Hawks. I mean, they had time and time again where the score was between 11 and 15, and the Hawks could just not extend the game. But it was just too much. And I'll ask you about this because I'm curious, and it'll all tie into our poll question at the end of the episode. But Thibodeau and the adjustments and just going to the well on the same thing. And I understand it in a regular season game, but clearly there had to have been some sort of lineup switch, some sort of adjustment, some sort of tinkering to this offense.
Got a spark. Yeah.
Something, because whatever was working, whatever they were doing, the offense was a disaster. And Taj Gibson and Noel, they can't score. And it was just there was no adjustment there. And his stubbornness, I thought, really screwed the Knicks in this series in particular tonight, too.
It's weird because he's stubborn about that, but then he's flipping his rotation. He's flipping his starting lineup in the playoffs after being stubborn about his starting lineup the entire season when fans are crying and people and analysts are saying, why do you keep starting Alfred Payton? Why do you keep playing in big minutes? Why do you keep bringing him in? Why? He's terrible. He needs to be a backup. And you don't do it until game 3 of the playoffs what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, at least at that point, you got to flip. Like we said in the last episode with Dolan J. Trump on, we had to say you had to flip him and let Rose start and slide Elfrid into that backup role, give him 10, 15 minutes, and then go, because you can't yank your starting point guard out of the lineup. And he was starting point guard the whole season. Like, say what you want about Elfrid, and I trashed him enough. But you know what? They were the 4 seed with him as the point guard. You know what I mean? Like that, he sunk, but he had to have something to do with it. He had to have some kind of rapport with Randall and RJ, and knew where to get them in their spots. I mean, it's just it's just bizarre. And I'm not going to kill Tibbs for pulling Elfrid, because he was terrible. And maybe there's more to it why he pulled him out of the lineup. Maybe he pouted, maybe he complained. His mom's talking trash on Twitter. So maybe there's a lot more to it, that he couldn't even play him. At this point, he was just a lost player. You see him, he's sitting on the bench. He's sitting in the back corner. He's not even with the team. So I think there's something there. But still, it's just bizarre, like, to not do that a month ago and deal with that crap. And maybe you waive Elfrid and he's not even on the roster. You know what I mean? In the playoff time, it could be something. Right. You know what I mean? There's so many things you can do. It's just now it's just you're scrambling. And like I said last episode also, it's like in 2012 with when the Knicks are playing the Heat and they're flipping their starting lineup and they're getting embarrassed. I mean, they were outmatched in that series, but like, you're starting Novak one game, Baron Davis one game, this hit one, that. What are we doing? And then before you know it, you're done in 5. And it's just once you're panicking like that, you're toast. And you tweeted it out, and that what took him so long to go to quickly? Like, what took, like, these guys that Rose didn't have it, and they're, I don't know, man. And the young guys are playing well, and quickly and top, and look like they belonged in the playoffs. And that's a very big positive out of this playoffs. That's the one thing I could take out of it. Otherwise, this playoffs is a disaster.
Yeah, quickly came in, and at least he provided some energy, and he was hitting his outside three. He was getting to the basket. He got there, and he got the foul. He was able to cause turnovers, and he just felt like he brought some energy to the court, and he got the crowd back into it a little bit. And it's like, why wait till there's 2 minutes on the clock, whatever it might have been at the end of that third quarter, when the game started to get a little more out of hand, and he actually brought him in. He cut the deficit to 10 at one point, 9. What's the point of having him sit on the bench if he could just bring some energy? And he was just sitting there wasting away. I mean, that was the opportunity to bring him in and to at least find a spark, but it did not happen. And then we saw in that third quarter, it was just the inability for the Knicks to score baskets. It was just impossible. And you thought maybe it was going to be different because the Knicks come out. There was the Trae Young free throw after the technicals during the very beginning of halftime. Randall hits that corner 3-point shot. They cut the lead to 3. And you're thinking to yourself, all right, we've got a game. We've got some energy. Randall's got a little hop to his step. And then boom, nothing after that. I mean, the offense was just ridiculously bad. And it was just putrid. And the Hawks were able to extend the lead. And I said before, they were like, Knicks were lucky to only be down, 10 points, 9, 11 points at the end of the third quarter, considering how bad they did play. And then this play, too, and the TNT broadcast was so lost on this. I mean, I know you watched probably on MSG.
Yeah, I did.
But the Trae Young play, where he was not picking up the ball and letting the clock tick down, the Knicks got to go after him because, yes, the shot clock was staying at 24, but the game clock was just trickling down second by second, and they were just killing the clock. And
I was wondering why they were doing that. I didn't know the clock starts. I thought the clock doesn't start at all until you touch it.
No,
or is that only in the last 2 minutes?
The shot clock stayed, so they're just killing the clock. And then the Knicks are just finally they got up and defended him, and they actually lost the ball out of bounds. But it was like Trae Young was just he was playing chess, Alex, out there against him.
Oh my God. And Trae Young, he's such a punk, man. Him, and like, it's just like such a punk. I understand he deserves to talk trash. He deserves to clown the Knicks fans. They called him out. The Knicks fans targeted him, and he won. And he gets to talk. Everybody gets to clown the Knicks and the Knicks fans for this series. All the jokes are okay. Everything is acceptable. And you know me, I'm usually calling people out for their silly jokes, but it's just, this was embarrassing. And like I said, Trae was like, you're trash talking Tracy Morgan, dude. He didn't spit on you. Some douchebag with expensive seats that spend thousands of dollars on a ticket spit on you, and you didn't even know it happened when it happened. It was bad. It was stupid. You know, why are you trash talking Tracy Morgan? What is he going to do to you? Like, what
you know what it's like when you're at the Garden. You've got all these stars around you.
That's
just
Reggie
weird,
Miller,
man. Jordan. That's just part of the lore of it. That's part of the
Sure,
fun of it.
sure,
And these are, I
sure.
remember Trey Young's 22 years old. It's Tracy Morgan. You know what I mean? Like
I know
it's
that's a
just,
bit.
it's just part of the games. It's part of the battle. Because if you're going to take on the
Mhm.
MSG, part of the MSG excitement, this is what goes with it, and it does get players juiced up. And you're right to it. Trey Young, he could have come in there and he could have been shy about it. He could have had
Right.
bad games. He didn't shoot great tonight, but he embraced the moment. He really did. He took the villain role on, and he played great. Like he absolutely took in the moment, and he didn't shy away from it. And he proved himself to be a future player for the Hawks. I also thought DeAndre Hunter, having him back, another young player that proved to play some
Long.
solid
Yeah.
defense, can hit perimeter jump shots. I mean, the Hawks have young talent. They don't have Cam Reddish in this series as well, who can really improve his 3-point shot this year. Atlanta's got some young players, and we're not going to preview this or anything, but it'll be interesting series versus the Sixers, who don't have Joel Embiid possibly in some of these games. That Hawks Sixers series will be really fascinating.
Yeah, now would know if Embiid is not healthy, definitely. Otherwise, I think the Sixers would
Sure.
sweep them, win in 5. But no, you're right. I mean, the Hawks have a lot of talent. They look good. They did, and they went in on the offseason, and that's why they have the talent at the end. The Knicks didn't go in on the offseason, and that's why they didn't have the talent in the series. I mean, if the Knicks actually tried in the offseason or at the deadline, maybe this team is special. I mean, not saying title contender, but maybe that they're, top 3 seed and they're really chilling. You know what I mean? Like, and they're breezing through the first round. You know what I mean? Maybe that happens, but they didn't. They didn't. They decided not to. They decided let's cut our let's punt on this offseason. Let's see what we got. It was a lot better than we thought. Randall looked like a star. He's definitely an all-star. He's definitely there. RJ took a step. We still have the pieces. We still have the cap space. We have the draft picks. We can make some trades. We can make some noise for sure. But I'm worried about, like, you could have built this team more in the short team while keeping your long-term flexibility. You know what I mean? You sign Bogdanovich, you sign Gallinari, and then your team is a little better, like just a little better, just a little bit, and your future is still intact. And then you can use either Bogdanovich or Gallinari's contracts to make another trade. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's so many things you could have done that they didn't do, and it's frustrating to go back to that. And I know I'm beating a dead horse with that. I talk about that often on Twitter at Knicks Central, but I'm just so beaten down right now. I'm so upset, and it was, I don't know how you feel, but the crowd thing at the end of the game, I get it. I get cheered. Like, let's say in 99, when they got to the finals, they lose to the Spurs in 5, or I think it was 5. Yeah. And Patrick Ewing's hurt, doesn't even play the series. They're a miraculous 4-point play just to get to the finals. You're in the finals and you lose. Standing ovation. You know what? We did what we had to do. Congratulations, guys. Whatever. The Knicks shouldn't have been the 4 seed. Sure, it was a great season. Great, phenomenal step in the right direction. But you got embarrassed. You didn't lose in 7. You didn't lose in 6. You lost in 5, and you got embarrassed and punked along the way. Why am I cheering for that? Why am I happy about that? Why am I proud about that? What is there to be proud of? Sure, we have a bright future. Sure, the future is bright. But why am I happy about that? Why am I cheering in that moment? That's something for the offseason. Give me that in 2 months. Okay, yeah, it was a good step. 2 months. Right now, no, sorry.
I love hearing that from you, because I thought it was interesting looking at all the different. Well, first of all, watching the fans cheer and get excited and say, "Hey, thank you," and then on Twitter seeing like sort of a back and forth between Knicks fans about I'm not cheering or I am cheering. Like, hey, this was the best season I've seen in 20 plus years, one of the best seasons I've seen in 20 years, and it's kudos for that regular season. But then to see your side of things where you're just like fired up because of how much of an embarrassment the series was versus the Hawks. If I was there, I don't know if I can answer the question, to be honest, Alex, because I'm not emotional like you and I'm not invested in the Knicks like you. And it wasn't that kind of season. Like we joked about the Nets from a couple of years ago when they were the 6th seed and they lost to the Sixers in 5. That's the only thing I could kind of maybe relate this to a little bit and thinking of that aspect. But then that is a different season because the Nets were the 6th seed, had to fight their way in to get into the playoffs at the end. And the Knicks got all the way to the 4. So I'm not trying to cop out of your answer. I just don't think because I'm in your shoes, I can give you a respected answer that's going to come from a different place. So I almost don't even know how to answer that because I'm not you and I'm not a Knicks fan. But I mean, like, as a Net fan, to be honest, I mean, it was kind of crazy to just see the Hawks go in there and dismantle them. And I thought the way I think I mentioned this on the previous episode, but the way the Knicks played towards the end of the season, garbage against the Celtics, barely hung on versus the Hornets. And you started to see they just weren't playing good basketball in those two instances. And then they got to Atlanta, and the Hawks they just outclassed them on every front. And the part that would annoy me than most tonight as a Knicks fan was the fact of how much more aggressive Atlanta was. You can talk about the Knicks, playing tough and giving elbows at the end of game 4, but Clint Capella all over the boards. I mean, it was just like a different level of intensity for the Hawks, and that's what would piss me off.
Right. That, and it just makes you dream, like, what if we had Mitchell Robinson? Because, Mitchell Robinson is not as big as Capella, and Capella will probably still push him around a little bit, but Mitchell Robinson would make Trae Young think about coming in there and with those floaters. He would block those shots. It wouldn't hit the fingertips of like Taj Gibson and Noel like it was on those floaters. Mitch is blocking that. Mitch is blocking 3-pointers. Mitch is taking it down the court on the break. You know what I mean? With the dribble. So it's a different game and it's a different series if he's still healthy, which is so frustrating. But he is never healthy, and that is the problem. And that's why you can't rely on a guy like that. You have to get some help. Noel's a good backup, but you can't bring Taj back again next year. You can't do that. You got to get some more help. And I'm not talking about Pele on the bench. I'm talking about give me a real big man, maybe draft somebody and get somebody there and develop him too while you're doing this. We need bodies, and I'm so upset that I'm talking about the freaking offseason right now after game 5 and they freaking lost and got embarrassed. Like, I'm just so angry. I'm not ready for that talk. You suck me in. You suck me in, you sneaky bastard.
That wasn't. I wasn't trying to. You brought that up. I didn't. I talked about the team not having effort defensively and getting out hustled, and John Collins ripping rebounds through the air. I didn't bring up the offseason, but I will bring up Julius Randle, who had a decent first half, and then the second half tonight was just a ghost. And Tibbs didn't even really play him in the fourth quarter. Brought him back in with 5 and some change, but at that point, Atlanta went up 14-16, something around there. So. It was kind of late in that sense of when they brought him back in, but it was just kind of, wild to see him not in the game, his poor performance, and everything that was around that. I mean, it was, as a Knicks fan, again, like, it's so disappointing to see his inability to be a star when then you have Trae Young, who was just dominant.
Right. And his stats tonight look okay, 23 and 13 for Randle, but the 8 turnovers, man, 8 turnovers and 8 of 21 shooting. He had no answer. Every time he took a dribble, like Clyde was saying it tonight on the MSG broadcast, every time he takes a dribble, there's 3 defenders standing there waiting for him. Like, they're not even guarding their men. They don't care. They're like, all right, well, yeah, dish it to Taj. Like, you know what I mean? Like, throw it up for him. What's he going to do? If Mitch is there, at least he can catch an alley-oop, but dunking on someone's head. Taj can't get up like that anymore. Noel is made of glass too. And it's just, it's he wasn't adjusting. Like Clyde was saying, take that 15-footer, take that jumper, pull up for 3, do something else. You're not getting in the lane. They're not giving you the lane. So hit your 3 or hit your jumper, and then they'll start respecting the jumper, and then you can go inside. It wasn't working for him, and he just didn't. And that's coaching too, because you got to let your players see. Maybe they were telling him, and Randall just was panicking. I don't know. We'll never know the answer to that. But you know what? I just, they showed some heart early in this game, and then it's just they got punched in the mouth in the third quarter, like in game 4, and they folded. And they just folded. And it's just like, oh, no, here we go again. And then it was just like a tooth extraction the rest of the game, and I was getting nauseous. I was putting my hands, sitting there like this, and my hands in my face and my hands, and I'm just like, I can't even believe what I'm seeing right now. It's just, it was.
It was something else, and I can't believe I saw this. This is a golden rule of mine. I don't do this. I don't do this. I mean this. I will stick it out. Spike Lee leaving was terrible.
I think he came back.
He did come back, but you don't. Where are you going with 3 minutes left?
Right. Hold your pee in, bro.
You're not going to the bathroom to come back for the 1 minute, because he left, and then they made a little bit of a spurt to get it to,
and then he came
12,
back,
and then he came back. Oh, I was
break.
I mean, come on,
forget Spike, man.
Leaving with 3 minutes left, that was bad.
Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan's our celebrity fan, our number one Knicks fan, or Ben Stiller. Don't give me Spike Lee anymore. Last year with the whole thing when he went on First Take with the different exit or the entrance or whatever, they didn't tell me. It's just give me a break, man. You tried to embarrass the franchise last year, and now this year you're here and you're leaving. You don't even go to every game anymore. And I know it was a pandemic, but even before that, you weren't even going to every game anymore. Give me a break. I don't even want to get into Spike.
I led you on that one. That one I did lead you down on.
That's fine. Because you know how I feel about that.
And, that was. I just couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe it.
Great movies. I saw that. Phenomenal movies by Spike. But you know what? Like I'm over with everybody. Let's interview the real Knicks fan, Spike Lee. Yeah, okay. Give me Tracy Morgan. Give me Ben Stiller. Somebody who's actually really cares
on Twitter.
Yeah, he's got a lot of followers too, man. Like he's Ben Stiller, obviously, but it's cool to have celebrity fans like that are like really like got your back. You know what I mean? But it doesn't help you win games. So how much does it really matter? But anyway, so what is your thoughts? Clint Capella is the new Roy Hibbert. What's your thoughts on that?
It's funny, man. They were, and I guess Trae Young's the new Reggie. Or it was. I know how upset you are right now, and I feel
the
bad
pain
for you, and I get that because I know it could be coming my way in a couple of weeks if the Nets lose to the Bucks or whatever. Like I'm fucked, and it's going to be an onslaught on it, but. It was poetic justice in a lot of ways because I could not get over the cockiness of the Knicks heading into this series versus Atlanta. And I always think it's beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. And the Knicks beat the Hawks 3 times in the regular season. And one of the times Trae Young got hurt in that fourth quarter. And then the Knicks won that game. It was part of their big winning streak. And when the Nets saw the Knicks or the Nets saw the Hawks, I was like, this team is good. The way they played the Nets, and I just could not understand the irrational cockiness of the Knicks fans saying like, "Bring on the Hawks. We've got this series. We're gonna win." And I was like, this is a really good basketball team that's 27-11 since they went with Nate McMillan, and they're playing out of their world good. I was just stunned by that. So it felt good from my end, not liking the Knicks, to see them just go down and just get bludgeoned by the Hawks and see Trae Young take advantage of the Knicks crowd and use it to his advantage. See Clint Capella make fun of the Knicks fan and then come in there and do that. Bogdanovich hitting threes. Gallo was awful tonight, but he had a good, decent games in Atlanta. And kudos to the Hawks. They deserve it. And I pose this question to you. It was almost like, would it have been better if the Knicks didn't even make the playoffs because of how bad of a performance this was?
No. It's better that they made the playoffs. They got rid of the streaks. They haven't made the playoffs since this. They haven't won a playoff game since they got rid of that streak. That was important coming into the season. That was a major goal, and they got it. But losing like this would definitely take, like I said last episode, definitely takes it off a pedestal for me this season. It was like this season was like one of my top 5 seasons in my life. Maybe not 5. I don't know. I'm not thinking about it.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's one of my favorite seasons in my life as a fan. And I date back to 91, let's say, around when I started really paying attention and being old enough to understand.
Yeah, of course.
So it is now down there. It's not up there anymore, man. Like, I was so proud of this squad, so proud of this team. They work hard, they bust their ass, they're gritty, they're just like New York. New York City is, they epitomize the city. It feels like the 90s it really did. But the 90s Knicks aren't going out sad like this. They're not going out sad and getting punked along the way. At least the 90s Knicks will sit there and they'll punch someone in the face. You know what I mean? Someone's getting decked. At least if you're doing this, somebody's getting decked. And then you know what? You're going to think twice. You know what I mean? Anthony Bonner's coming off the bench and throwing you into the stands. J.R. Reed's coming in and elbowing you in the teeth. You know what I mean? Something's happening. You're not coming in here and telling me that they're going to come in. You think that they were going to Trae Young is going to do that to them. I know it's a different game. I know it's a different world, but it's just, there's ways to be tough in this era that relate to back then when it was punching someone. In this era, it's just, you got to talk trash and you got to make your shots. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a different way to do it. I'm not thinking really clearly. I'm just really angry, really upset. And it's just,
that Knick offense in the third quarter was a disaster. I mean, they could not get into any offensive sets and they just could not get any flow of an offense going. And it was the doom for them. And that's why I said, like, bring in quickly, change it up, go small, change the way you do your offense. I mean, something to give them a spark and just see if you can get anything going. You're down 3-1 in the series. You're down 10 to 15 points. you have to abandon your strategy a little bit and go to something else. You have to find a different way to get some sort of spark going for this Knicks team. And they just never did it. And Coach Thibodeau, again, just stubborn on making changes, and it, bit him in the ass. And the Knicks folded, and they're done for the season, and they're just, it's over. And I think like, to me, I'd almost be more excited after this series for RJ Barrett than I would Julius Randle long term. And maybe that's an obvious thing to say, but like, Barrett's young. He's not a one or anything like that, but you see the promise that maybe he could become one, and because how well he played. But Julius Randle, to me, like, and when he did the thing with the basketball at the end of the half, and he just tossed it to Trae Young, who was
threw it on him, started the whole fight.
Like,
yeah.
I know from the Knicks fan, you probably loved it. For me, I'm just like, I don't know. You played like this poorly, and you're just doing stuff like that. Like, it just rubbed me the wrong way. But again, I'm not a Knicks fan, so I may have liked it. But it was just like, after all the poor play you've had, that's the kind of move you're gonna make. And I'm just, it's such a disappointment in his kind of series to have that good of a year. Like, I mean, and it's just it's a product of the regular season. But he's gonna be on an All NBA team ahead of like James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. And that's the kind of performance he had in the playoffs.
Right. And I honestly, when that happened and that whole fight, and Noel's calling, Solomon Hill a pussy, and like, I'm loving it. I'm like, oh, this is great. Yeah, technical, whatever. It's just one free throw, two. They got two and they got one. So there was one technical, whatever. I was happy about it. But you know what? Like, then you come out like that in the third quarter, then that fight looks really cheesy. Then that just looks like you just got punked. All you did was spark the Hawks. And the Hawks are like, oh, really? Okay. Here we go. Let's go. Now D this up. Here's this three in your face. You know what I mean? Then it's then you look like a bunch of punks. And then I'm going to cheer for that at the end of the game. Yeah, great season, guys. Yeah, we did it. Give me a break, man. Like, I can't do that yet, like I said. And, you said about RJ Barrett, you nailed it. And he really, the guys on this team in the future, they're going to bring Randall back. He's got the team option. I know even before this terrible series, if the season just ended and he had that incredible season, they didn't make the playoffs, you still keep the team option, and then you wait and see if he can do it again. And then you cash in. If he does this again and you excuse this playoff series, and then you're all right, we got a legit number 2 here, and let's see what the hell we can do. You know what I mean? So that's something there, but Julius Randle lost a lot of money in this playoffs, a lot of money, because if he dominates and they get to the second round, and then if they gave Philly a series, then they might even decline that option and let's max you out now. Like, you know what I mean? Then it's like, let's lock you up now. Let's take care of you. It might then, because I think they could save a few bucks by doing that. And then, I'm sure Randall is just happy to get the money, and then we're there. But now you just got to re-up the team option. If they don't, then that's just bad business. I mean, it's just, who knows what they're going to do since Julius Randle is Leon Rose's boy. So who knows what's going to happen, man. It's just very frustrating. And another thing I got to, have a problem with that Trae is balding chant. That's so corny. The Trae is balding chant. That's so corny. That's so Boston. That's like such a Boston kind of chant. Like, it's just, I don't know. I didn't like that very much. And the other thing that hurts me watching these playoffs, Austin Rivers dominating.
Yeah, sure.
We chose Alfred Payton over Austin Rivers, and Austin Rivers is in the playoffs dominating, and Alfred Payton is sitting on the bench with his mom complaining about the team on Twitter. So tell me right now, how smart were the Knicks in the beginning of the season for getting rid of Austin Rivers? I know they got Derrick Rose, and they're like, all right, he doesn't fit, but come on, man.
Can't get them all right, man. You can't get them all right. I had a lot of, I did go on Twitter and had a little fun at the end. I couldn't help myself.
You had every right to.
I had one, but I didn't tweet it, but I'm curious if you think this would have been funny. And this is a sensitive topic to you, so I'm curious to hear it. Let me read what I wrote, because I wrote it out. Okay. I wrote it out because I didn't want to mess this up.
Saved it in your drafts. Don't send it by accident.
After that performance from Randall, should we just call the Knicks the Big 14?
Oh man, you should have sent that, dude. You should have sent that. We could just do a case study right now. Send it out and then just see what it does, what kind of numbers it does. Nets fans would love that. We'll love that, man.
I'll do it right now live. Here we go.
Let's do it live, and then by the end of the show,
I'm getting your blessing though. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's funny. Right. I think it's funny because I'm here. You're telling me it, but if I saw that come up and I didn't on my timeline and I didn't know you, I would get pissed. But at the
Well, I
same
know, but
time, right now, Nets, your Net fan trolls and like BKGO, our boy, and all these other guys and DJ, and they're all coming after us and scary hours. They're all like coming at like, oh, look at this tweet about me. I'm like, hey, listen, man, you have every right to talk trash. Talk trash
but
about me, man. Talk trash about the Knicks.
I know.
They deserve it. The team played like trash. I can't say a word. Like usually I'll find a way to weasel my way, not weasel, but find a way to that's a little too extreme and diminishes my points. But I'll find a way to be like, you know what? This is not really as bad as what you're saying. What are you talking about? Like with the Porzingis trade and this and that. But right now, the Knicks deserve all the smoke. They deserve all the smoke.
You know me, I don't like to do all that stuff because I do believe that it'll come back to bite me in the ass. But I'm just doing it because it's fun with you, and I'm joking.
Yeah.
Like now I'm like, because I know there's going to be
a couple zingers today, man. You had a couple zingers today.
Yeah, I've been on my game a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been on my
Rubbing
game
off.
a little bit. Yeah, no, you just got to do them at the right time. You were impressed by something that I had the other night too, with like making fun of the net crowd, and somebody was saying, could you imagine if the Knicks were up 3-1 and what the crowd would be like that? I said, yes, you're going to have to imagine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You said that on Evan's thread to that guy, to our boy Corey. That was funny. Yeah, you're getting some zingers, man. You're getting confident. You're doing a great job.
Well, the Nets do look good. I mean, they did.
Yeah,
but the Boston team was
man.
depleted. And I actually think that's kind of interesting on this angle. We'll talk about this. Well, let's bring a little Celtics in sort of with the Nets, but it was like the week. It did feel good as a Net fan to put an end to the Celtics and then put an end to the Celtics. I mean, it was just like double whammy, which was just then shocking today, which obviously was in the works for a while because you don't just make that kind of change.
Yeah.
For Ainge to step down and then Stevens to take his job, and now the Celtics are looking for a head coach. It was cool to see the Nets kind of be the team that, even though they weren't the reason that they made that switch, at least where the timing of it was, the Nets beat them, finished their season, and boom, the Celtics had to make some offseason changes.
Yeah, you have no love lost for the no love for the Celtics. I mean, it's late. I can't think, but that was funny. But you know what? And I'm going to defend the Nets a little bit here, the Nets crowd a little bit, which is kind of crazy. Breaking news. I don't blame there for being no buzz in that game with the clincher. I mean, it's obvious they were going to win. They're home. The Celtics are terrible. They're giving up. They're injured. It's just, why would I get, it's exciting, sure, right, but it's just, we have this super team. We're looking at the next series right now. I mean, forget the Celtics nonsense here. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that. It was kind of funny that they had 30 fans outside with towels like, hey, we won. Oh, look at us. But, I made a joke that you'll like, it was kind of like, somebody was filming it like there were so many more people there than there was. It was kind of like a New York City apartment posting where they kind of like have like trick camera angles from like the bottom corner and they like get the whole thing. It looks like huge when it's like 200 square feet.
It'll be better versus the Bucks. It'll definitely be better.
For sure.
It'll be better. The Garden wasn't that great tonight, but that's what happens when you're down 15 points in the third quarter. It's hard to get energy.
And they started off slow again. And it's just kind of like the crowd comes out on fire and then the Knicks give them nothing and they can't keep it going. And then it's frustrating. I don't know. What am I going to do?
And I told you this when we were talking earlier in our pre-production meeting earlier today, whatever I want to call it, is I'm just hoping for a good crowd because I don't care about, people on Twitter mocking the Nets. I just want Kevin Durant, James Harden, Joe Harris, and Bruce Brown to have more energy. Like I want the crowd to get them going and help them win games because it's going to be loud when they go in the other people's buildings, and I think it'll be fine. It'll be good. They'll be okay. That's the least of the concerns. The bigger concerns are Milwaukee's really freaking good, and this is going to be a true test. And in a lot of ways, if Embiid's hurt, like
this is the Eastern Conference Finals right now. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man, like this is relatively stress-free for me for a playoffs that I've ever experienced. Because it was just like you just knew, but now this is just going to be a whole game one Saturday night, 7:30 tip. It's going to be a different experience, and every game
anxiety,
anxiety will be back up. And I mean, I got to be honest, I felt more anxiety watching Knicks Hawks than the Nets at some point.
Who's guarding Giannis? Who's guarding
a lot of Durant, I think, and hopefully Jeff Green's back healthy, and maybe some Nick Claxton. But it's going to be about
stress. Those guys,
Giannis is It's Giannis.
It's going to be the other guys who got to stop. Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be strategy to figure out ways to get the ball out of his hands. And this is something the Nets did all season. And I hated this. Maybe we talked about this. I can't remember. But the strategy was to give Nash. Nash's strategy was to give Giannis. I don't mind if Nash is taking shots. The strategy was to give Giannis wide open threes. Like
that's always even close to him. Yeah.
And but it's like I hate that because okay, he's not a great 3-point shooter if you're defending him, but if you're giving somebody shooting practice
shots,
they're good. He's still an NBA level. I mean, he's Giannis. Like that I have an issue with. You got to be strategic about those. And if you started and he's hitting some shots, guard him a little bit. Bring a second defender. Milwaukee's tough. I mean, this is going to be a hell of a series. And this guy Forbes for Milwaukee is a great shooter.
It was a Spur on the Spurs, right? Is that the guy that
I think no, it's a different player. I think it's him.
Oh, it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
But he maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Who's wrong? The point is he killed the Nets in the regular season. I am just anticipating and scared for getting killed on the glass, as Dolan J. Trump brought up last week, and I kind of poo-pooed him, but he's right. If they get crushed on the glass, this is not going to be where they can make it up as much. They're going to have to team rebound, and they're going to have to find ways to make Giannis a passer and not a scorer. If they can do that and then defend around the perimeter, then let the offense take over. But
he was on the Spurs, by the way.
He was
the guy from the Spurs. Yeah, 4 years on the Spurs. Yeah,
you're right.
But yeah, I'm always right. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just about like we were saying, it's about Middleton not getting hot, Drew Holiday not getting hot, the other guys just taming the other guys because Giannis is going to get his. You just gotta let him. Don't let him, but you just gotta chalk it up. Like, all right, well, they got one crazy star, we have three, and they have a couple nice players, and let's see what happens. But the problem is there is defense. I mean, it's just their defense. The Nets they're not a great defensive team. I mean, their core players are not defensive stoppers. I mean, Durant can stop somebody when he wants to, but the other guys, I mean, not so much.
Well, Harden defensively has actually played pretty well in these playoffs.
Really?
Okay. He was in the playoff. He was good. My bigger concern, Alex, in the defense, sure. But if they can, it's the defensive rebounding, because it's one thing to not be good at defense, but it's when you give up those second chance points and you're also not good at defense, that's the killer. If they can rebound, they can get away with the defense. I really believe that. It's just the second chance points killed them. They were talking about in the broadcast, like Tristan Thompson's been terrible this year. Actually had a pretty good series against the Nets. Yeah, because his play was conducive to kill them. Get offensive rebounds, put backs, and do everything that my hand looks huge in this video, and do everything that the Nets can't do. And that's what scares me about Giannis, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. Like, this is the stuff.
Bobby Portis. I'm ready.
Oh yeah, that's you're gonna be the biggest Bucks fan in the world.
OG Bobby Portis. That's my guy, man. I wanted the Knicks to bring him back. They could have used him in this series, that's for sure. That was the Knicks fans' Alfred Payton last year. They were just trashing him, like irrationally trashing him. I mean, it was rational to trash for Alfred Payton most of this year, but last year Bobby Portis got it too much. And then when they finally got a real coach in there, when Mike Miller took over, he was showing what he can really do. And the Knicks needed a big man that can hit a three, and they decided we don't need him. You know what I mean? Like, we're good. And then they don't replace him with anybody. But anyway, that's another story.
We're not going to do Nick off-season talk on this episode. I won't.
Oh, we already did.
Yeah. Nah, but you know what I mean. Like, seriously.
I know.
They've got 3 picks in the top 35. What do they do?
Exciting.
That is exciting. But I'm not going to do it.
It's not exciting. They just got punked at home.
They did, man. They just Trey, you're right. The crowd mocked Trae Young, and Trae Young got the last laugh.
He got it.
Trae Young, you're balding. Guy went in there and just dominated at the world's most famous arena. And
Trae Young chants were better than Trae is balding. Like, give me a break. This Trae Young balding thing. Who cares? Like, he doesn't care. He's like, yeah, so what? I'm hitting these threes. Like, you know what I mean?
It fueled him. It fueled him. I mean, the funny thing about Young too is, like, his shooting. He did make some deep threes, but his shooting wasn't great in the series. It was his ability to just get in the paint, hit the floater, or make the right pass to an open shooter for the Hawks. And that play, the play that got them in game 1, was what killed the Knicks the whole series long.
No look alley oops. Yeah.
And that was the tempo from Trae Young. And then the rest is history, and the New York Knicks season is over.
But hey, at least the Mets are in first place, right?
They
at
did
least
win today 7-6. I went to bed last night thinking that the Mets won, and then I saw they blew the game.
Same. I passed out, and then I was like, "Are you kidding?" But anyway, and Lindor's getting hot. McCann hit a bomb today. All right, Dom hit a bomb. We're playing. Recently.
I'm not
trying to be happy, bro. I'm trying to be happy.
You're playing the game of now. Let me distract my head. It's Mets season time. Hopefully, I'm not playing that game with myself in a week or two or whatever it is.
2 weeks ago, I was distracting myself with the Mets injuries, and they have these like McKinley or whoever this guy was cleaned up, and they're buying Cameron Maybin for $1, and I'm just like, what is happening? But okay, well, the Knicks are the 4 seed. It's okay. We'll worry about this in a couple months. You know what I mean? But they keep winning, and DeGrom's back, and let's go.
Isn't it crazy how much effort and energy we put into like, we need this seed, we need that, but then you do that. That's why
play who's in front of you.
Mock the Nets, but they were like, we understand the regular season has some meaning, and at the end we pushed.
They got top 3,
and at the end we pushed to get the 2 because we saw the difference of having that home court in the second round versus the Bucks, which I think does make a difference. But they weren't going to kill themselves at a pace to not hurt what's now here, where Harden, Kyrie, and Durant are finally all playing together for the first time, which is so weird to see them just experiment and get this thing going in the playoffs is fascinating. And it's been at some moments they've looked brilliant moving the ball around, a lot of ISO, but then at other times it's just like they just come at you with waves. Like last night they didn't play that well versus the Celtics, but they had this 1 3-minute run and they were up 20 points. It was like they were like, how are they up 20? They didn't play well.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know what to say, but what's also good about the Nets getting the 2nd seed is that in the second round, this is not a shot at the Nets crowd, but in the second round, they don't have to worry about Bucks fans coming to Brooklyn because there's not a lot of Bucks fans. They're in Milwaukee. They're probably going to stay there. They're Giannis fans, but I mean, come on, like that's not. You got a few handful, but if they were playing Philly in the second round, Philly fans will travel to Brooklyn. That's not far. That's not a long trip.
I will say the loudest that Barclays Center ever got, and this was like legit NBA. I mean, it was great. It was Nets Sixers 2 years ago in Barclays, and I think there's a lot. That was a very Nick-like lovable team, and I think there's something to. It's interesting because they weren't there all season long, that you didn't get to know the team. And maybe this is excuses, but it's not the Knicks. It's different. Like there has to be a bonding and building experience with the Nets because their fan base is smaller.
And they weren't as good as the Knicks. So it's just in the regular season, they didn't have any expectations in the first round. It was just kind of like, hey, we're here. Let's win. You stole game 1 on the day I got engaged. And you're just like, all right, let's do this. Maybe we can have some fun. Jared Dudley's talking trash. And then, that
game 4
you got put in your place. yeah, you had game 4. You had a chance to get that, but
I'll never. This is the only time in my life I'll ever say this, but it was getting Jared Dudley and Jimmy Butler got kicked out, and that actually hurt the Nets more than it hurt the 76ers because of how well Dudley was playing in that series at that moment for the Nets. I'm serious. It's true.
I know.
Net fans.
And it's not even the play on the floor. He was kind of the emotional leader for that team a little bit also. I mean, he was playing well. It was great. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but it's kind of like it just always makes me think of when remember Slava Medidenko, whatever the hell his name was. When he was trash talking like Rasheed Wallace or something, and that was when Stephen A. Smith was coming up and he was making the jokes like Slava Medidenko, like how can you do that? And it was just like, who the hell are you? Like you're talking trash, and it's just and like Tiago Splitter, like those guys, like it's always funny when those guys start talking trash and then they get schooled, like they get put in their place of who they really are in the NBA, and that's kind of what happened with Jared Dudley too.
And how does Theo Pinson go from being one of my favorite Nets ever to being like, I can't stand this guy, he's so annoying? You know what I mean? Like it just shows you too how funny it is when he's on your team.
He's great. He's a great cheerleader. He's great. He comes in and does great in layup lines. Great. But you know what? I'd rather have Austin Rivers on my roster than Theo Pinson right now. That's for damn sure. So, I mean, what do I need to say? So it's all, why we,
Would there ever be a chance that Theo would come in a game? Like nothing, no shot.
No, he's come
Doesn't
in,
play.
but it's garbage time. He's Rick Brunson of this team. You know what I mean? He's just coming in at the end, and that's it.
Gotcha.
But anyway, put a bow on it. It was a good season. It was fun. I had a blast. It was surreal most of this year being at their game 2. I was so happy I went to the game where they won. I had amazing seats, chanting on the way out, getting out of the crowd as fast as I could in the front, but I was enjoying it. The reason why there were so many fans outside the Garden was because one of the exits was closed for construction, so it made a bottleneck. So it wasn't like everybody just congregated in one spot. We literally couldn't move most of the people. I mean, a lot of fans stood up for attention and were dancing with taking their shirts off and going like, "Oh, look at us, we did it!" The crowd was that big because we couldn't get the hell out. But I was chanting while I was there. But as the second I can go, I was like, "Yo, let's cross the street. Let's get the hell out of here!" This is so stupid. So whatever. It was a fun season. But this series kind of put a damper on it, kind of took it down a notch for me. And that's all. That's how I'll put a bow on it for the year.
Well, we got more bad weather fans. It's not going away. Don't worry, Knicks fans. We got Knicks. The Nets are in the playoffs. We'll talk about their run, see what happens with the Milwaukee Bucks. And then we're going to, obviously, this podcast is going to continue every week forever. Get used to it.
In perpetuity.
Get used to a lot of Nets talk coming up. Be a lot
we talk about other sports too. We've had people on like Alyssa Rose and Connor Hughes of the Jets Reporter. We're going to talk about other sports. We're going to keep going. The main core of the podcast is Knicks and Nets, but we talk everything. So
we talk everything.
Hang with
us.
It's
gonna be a lot of Nets coming up. Get used to it.
Be a lot of Mets.
You know who I'm talking to?
With an M.
Alex A-holes.
A lot of Mets. A lot of Lindor talk. As he got his average over 200. Man, we're excited. Let's go.
How excited? The audience. How excited are you for? Why did they go to Bruce Brown that late in the second quarter? What was Coach Nash thinking? Or are you excited for, is it time to bring Mike James in? I don't think Tyler Johnson's doing the job. Can we believe
DeAndre Jordan grab some defensive boards? Can we put him in for a few minutes?
How many minutes did DeAndre Jordan play in the first round versus the Celtics? 0 minutes.
I was going to say 0, but I thought it was a trick question.
Because they don't play him in garbage time.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was watching Inside the NBA this morning on reruns to check out some of the highlights from last night on the West Coast games. And Barkley's like, they got Brook Lopez inside. And Draymond's like, Brook Lopez isn't Brook Lopez. He's shooting threes now. What are you talking about? He's not down. I love
Draymond on that show, by the way. He's great. And I think
he's more current. He knows what's going on more in the NBA than these guys.
Well, he's current. Obviously he's in the league. I love Draymond on there. I think he's been awesome.
Yeah, I like him more on the TV set than on the court. That's for sure. He can't kick someone in the nuts on the TV set, but I guess he could. But I just probably wouldn't on the TV set unless Barkley does something.
I enjoy the mix with the older veterans. I think it's kind of kind of mix, and he can play
a little stale.
And have fun.
Yeah, because Shaq is getting schooled all year by Candace Parker. You know what I mean? It's just like, are you guys even watching other games besides the ones on your network? Like, can you at least try to pay attention? There's so many other analysts that that deserve these roles. I mean, I know Shaq and Barkley and Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson is the best, but like Shaq and Kenny Smith and Barkley, like if they tried to pay attention just a little bit, they would be phenomenal because they are really, really entertaining. And it's just frustrating to me sometimes, especially when it comes to the Knicks, because, all these national analysts, they weren't expecting to cover the Knicks in the playoffs. So they weren't paying attention to them at all. They were waiting for them to falter. They're waiting for them to fall apart and they wouldn't have to pay attention to them. So then they were cramming at the end of the season. And then, now it's like, oh yeah, well I knew the Knicks weren't going to be good. All right, yeah, man, come on, give me a break. You couldn't name, half the players on the roster from last year, so don't tell me anything right now.
Well, the Knicks have a good core with Alec Burks, Reggie Bullock. Although those guys did play really well. I think they exceeded what you would expect.
I'd bring Reggie Bullock back. But Burks, he's good too. But you can upgrade there. But Bullock is the kind of guy that plays well with Randall and pops some threes. And
told you how much better is he at MSG?
He is. But he's also, he was getting punked too. He was talking a lot of trash. I'm with the shits. He said in one of his tweets, like, "Come on, let's do it. I got you. We'll see you in the A." And what happened? You don't want a game since that tweet. So now you're on vacation, like Capella said. So, but yeah, let's cheer for them at the end of the game. Yeah, great job, guys. We got embarrassed. All right, congratulations.
Let's get to the poll question, Alex, which I think will kind of tie a bow on everything that we just talked about for the last 50 minutes or so.
Let's see.
And then we got our jersey number
Hmm.
game also. Catch you off guard with the Twitter, but I
Someone,
think
I just saw somebody tell me you were having a meltdown. I said in my tweet, I said the Knicks got punked by Capella and Trey, and fans right after the game are proud of the season with an eye roll emoji. I need a minute before I do all that. I'm still fuming from this loss in this series. Sure, they showed improvement, but they were embarrassed and looked like they didn't belong. That was my tweet, and this guy goes, "You were having a meltdown." No, that's not a meltdown. Listen to Badweather fans; you'll hear meltdowns. But anyway, and I lost some followers, but people don't like the truth. But anyway, so Knicks fans, this is the poll question, by the way, Mike. I don't know if you knew that. Knicks fans, what was the most disappointing part of a loss to the Hawks? Getting punked and losing, Randall's poor play, or few adjustments by Tibbs?
It's a good question.
What do you think, Juan?
It's a really good question.
What do you think of the answer?
Man, I'm debating between. I'm trying to figure out what I think the answer is. My instincts are just getting punked and just getting outclassed. But man, Randall's so disappointing. But I think it's just a bigger picture, overarching issue. So I'll go with I think. My guess is your audience put Thibodeau because it's an easy way, because the Knicks fan doesn't want to admit A, and B scares them, so they'll answer with C just because it's the easiest to cope with.
You know, this is why you're a Nets fan. You don't understand this at all. So A1, Randall getting punked and losing 40.4%. Randall's poor play 39.5%. So it was pretty much a tie between A and B, 40.4 and 39.5.
That was tough.
And then few adjustments by Tibbs is 20.2. A lot of the responses are people saying we need all the above, all. So might have gotten more votes if I put that, but then that's a cop-out answer.
Yeah, you can't put all the above. Stop it.
Yeah. So a few shout-outs. We had Ty Star TV. He's at Ty Star TV. He goes, nothing was disappointing. Great season. They were who we thought they were all along. Don't let the 4 seed fool y'all. So, I guess he's saying we weren't supposed to be here. So I like Ty, so I won't go at him. Coonies, who's on every show, at Kunal ____. He goes all the above. Coonies, your boy.
Never heard of him.
Then we have our boy Eater Calixto at BK Cali. He goes, what the fuck? Where's the 4th option? All of the above and then some. Obvious the refs were against us. Should have adjusted towards that, but man, it sucks. I would rather have gone out fighting than like this, shaking my head. The refs was the 4th option. That was the 4th option, because in the beginning of this, especially game 5, they were getting screwed. And Trae Young is diving all over the place, getting every call. Julius Randle does the same exact thing Trae Young did, and he gets called for an offensive foul. It's just because he's bigger. You know what I mean? It's just because when he hits somebody, he falls. And then that flop by, I think it was Solomon Hill with the elbow. Remember that they called it a foul. It definitely was a foul, but I mean, the guy went flying and he barely touched him. If Julius Randle elbows you in the cheek, there's either some blood or you're taking 5 or you're on the floor. You're like, I need a minute. Like, you know what I mean? You're not just like, oh yeah, that's a foul, flagrant. Yeah, look at it. Yeah, review.
I like the play where Taj Gibson pushed DeAndre Hunter in the back when he was going up for a pass or a layup or something.
Was that a flagrant to you?
Was that a flagrant to me? No,
I don't know if I'm being a homer.
No, but I get it. But I wouldn't. I'd be frustrated as a Knicks fan and happy as a Hawks fan. So I guess I would look at it like that. Like, no, but I'm not surprised because it just looks bad when the guy goes flailing. But my favorite part of this play is like Taj Gibson puts his hand in the air, like that's on me. Like I like when guys take responsibility for the foul. Like, yeah, I think that's on you.
It's like a football player dropping a pass. You're like, oh, my bad. I dropped the pass. My bad.
I was like, yeah, I think that is your foul. I love that stuff.
I didn't think it was the flagrant. He barely touched him, but it's kind of like the football thing where it's the defenseless receiver kind of a thing where it's just like right. Hunter can't protect himself, and I get it. I mean, it's just a little like he's trying to avoid the basket. He's supposed to just be like back off and like he scored. I mean, I don't know, but anyway, we have some more shout outs. So you have boy Tim Morera. He's at Tim_Morera. He goes, definitely getting embarrassed 3 games straight is another option. Nino, he's at El Nino 201. Randall's bad play is an understatement. Kid forgot how to play ball, laughing my ass off. It was nuts to watch, and he's absolutely right. I mean, the Randall thing is just mind-boggling, but it's also the Hawks just totally zeroed in on him. But he was hitting, but he still was missing open shots and missing shots he hit all season long. He was hitting so many fadeaways, so many double clutch shots all year in traffic, not turning it over like with dumb turnovers like he did last year with Fizdale. He was actually, that he kind of looked like he regressed a little bit in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, what do you have? 7, 8 turnovers in this game? I mean, he was turning the ball over left and right. The Hawks tried to make him a playmaker, and he made a lot of decisions where he passed the ball out and it was deflected or tipped, and then there was all these fadeaway threes and one-on-one play, and it just didn't work. He just wasn't the same player that he was, and that was a huge difference. I mean, you could almost boil it down in this micro level, get real granular here. Trae Young was great. Why are you laughing?
I was just saying, get real granular here. It's just funny. That's all. No, it's good. It was good. It was good. Higher vocabulary than I'm used to on this show.
Yeah, that is true. Let me restart it. Let's go back. You could kind of boil it down to Trae Young was making shots and playing good, and Julius Randle just did not play good.
They didn't make their shots and they didn't score enough points. So that's just what happens. That's why you lose. Usually when you don't score more points than the other team, you lose.
Unless you're the Nets, then they figure out. Then they win.
They win anyway. Even when they lose, they win. Then we have CP the Artist. He's at CP the Artist. He goes, not upgrading the roster at the deadline. That's, that's been me in the offseason and at the deadline from the start. And I hate being right about that. I got to tell you. Let's see. A couple more. Couple good ones besides all the above. We got David at David_Ace31. Randall pretty much disappeared the entire series. That was alarming. Yeah, that was alarming. I agree. Sebastian Murga at Sebastian Murga 6. He goes, unpopular opinion, but I gotta go with poor coaching. No adjustments all series and poor rotations. But whatever, season's over, on to the next. Yeah, I can't go on to the next yet. But great point though, Sebastian. That was great. And so this is how we ended. Zach Wilson hates selfies at CJNYC96. Randall's offense being worse than Adam Gase's offense. that was the answer. That is a great point. In the playoffs, he did look a lot like Adam Gase. But all right, Mike, you ready for the jersey number trivia? Yes, so every episode we used to get a jersey number for the episode. We were 44. We were picking up number 44s and guessing it, but now we're in the 60s. So we were just guessing random. Matt. Who's Matt? I mean, Mike will give me a Knicks number and I'll guess it. And I will give Mike a Nets number and he will guess it. So go for it. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first for you. All right. I've got for you a New York Knick, who's number 25. He played for the Knicks from 2004 to 2005. He was actually, it looks like he was on the Knicks in 03, according to these stats. And he was there for just a couple of seasons, it looks like.
So it was 03. He had 2 stints with the Knicks?
Well, yeah, when you go on the stats, he was on another team, and then he was, I don't know if he was dealt or somehow he got to the Knicks he got to the Knicks from the Rockets, and then actually was on the Knicks for the next year and a half, and then went back to the Rockets. One of the great names in the NBA. He's 175 pounds.
I want to guess Coutinho Mobley, but I don't think that's right because I don't think he ever actually played for the Knicks. But I'm
not giving good information that will help you.
No, you're not.
He started his career with the Grizzlies in 1996.
Grizzlies in 96? Wow. Is that like an original Grizzly? When did the Grizzlies get established? Was it 96?
Early on. It's right there. I think the Grizzlies were a little before, but maybe I'm wrong.
So he's a Grizzly. He was a Rocket.
He also played for Seattle for 12 games, but he barely played for the Grizz. He then went to the CBA, and then got to Seattle, Houston, the Knicks, Houston, and NOK to end it out.
So when he was on the Knicks, was he a starter? Was he in and out? Was he
when he was on the Knicks? He did not start one game.
Did he play like a lot, or was he just...
games? He played 12.4 minutes per game, and the following year he played 10 minutes a game. So he had some role off the bench.
25, and he was a guard.
And he was a guard. Yeah, 6'1".
Point guard.
And I'm looking at more information. So if I can give you something that's a little more helpful. Let's go to his Wikipedia page.
He,
Blank is
he
a
liked chicken parm. Yeah.
played collegiately at Odessa Junior College and then at Auburn.
Geez.
And then at University of West Florida. So he played everywhere.
I have no idea.
Moochie Norris.
Oh man. Oh, Moochie, that's always my go-to random Nick too. Like that's always the guy that I go to. I didn't realize he was number 25. The high number was throwing me off.
Now I'm like, did I give you the right number? I'm starting to get a little anxious about that.
And if you would have said like crazy hair or something, then it would have like really like I would have got it. Oh man, I should have got it.
Yeah, he was number 25. Yeah, well, that's true. I didn't really give you great clues, but you know what?
No, I should have gotten that. Damn, that pisses me off.
All right, what you got? What you got?
Let's see. Okay, what's today's date? The 2nd. So let's go with
David Benoit. You did him already.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with number 2 since it's the 2nd of the month.
Jeez, 32
Okay.
Not many number 2s in general.
There are a lot actually.
Okay, I'm wrong.
There are like actually a lot of numbers. Like a ton.
All
right, okay. So this guy played for the Nets in 2001, New Jersey Nets.
102 or
this is you're not gonna get this. Only 19 games. He's
which year?
In 2000, 2001. Only 19 games. He's a point guard, journeyman, and I have one more clue that will give it away.
Was it
This is a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Something Oliver?
You're close actually. You got close with the first letter of Oliver as the first letter of the last name.
The first letter of the last name. It's on
the last name begins with O.
I hate giving silence because I know people are listening to this podcast.
So
the name begins with O.
I can't give you the hint. The hint is just you're gonna crush it with the hint. So it's just like,
is it a point guard?
Point guard.
Yeah, it's there. Just if you give me a few hours, I can work it out in my head.
Yeah, it's hard to be on the spot. Put on the spot.
Doug Overton.
Nope.
Oh, who is it?
Kevin Ollie.
Oh.
See, if I said anything about UConn, it would just been like done. Yeah. Kevin Ollie. So that's why I couldn't do that.
Yeah, Kevin Ollie.
Let me give you one more. That was too hard. I thought he played the Nets a little longer than.
I mean, it wasn't impossible. It's a well-known name. Put it that way.
Yeah. How about this? Okay, number 6, but not
Ron Mercer.
Not Ron Mercer. Yeah, I don't think he was even number 6. Number 6 played for the Nets in 07, 08 and 08, 09. So it looks like he was in mid-season acquisition in 07, 08, and he was on the Nets in 08, 09. Crazy dunker, huge, such great hops.
I don't know, who is it?
Stromile Swift.
Swift. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, that one I thought you'd get.
Yeah, I should have gotten that. All right, I suck. We'll move on.
Yes, you do.
Good episode.
Can you believe he was a 2nd pick in the draft? Stromile Swift. Holy crap.
That was a terrible draft.
That was a terrible draft. 2000. 1 pick after Kenyon Martin.
Kenyon, Pfizer was in that draft. He was a bust.
Who was number 3 pick? You got 1, 2, and 4. Who was the number 3 pick? Come on. There you go. See, you're the draft guy, man. You can name your clues are big with drafts. So you're like I can give you a number and say what draft year, and you're like, oh, it's you know. Yeah. See, if I told you the year Kevin Ollie was drafted, you probably would have gotten it. That would have been like your thing.
I don't know what year Kevin Ollie was drafted. 99. What was he? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. So the Knicks draft pick from that year in 2000, number 22. Not number 22. The 22nd pick.
I don't know.
From Florida, Donnell Harvey.
Yeah, that I would not have gotten.
Scrub. Anyway, okay. Sorry to Donnell Harvey's family. He was a nice.
And I think Mike Miller was 6 that year.
He was.
And who was 5?
5 was Mike Miller. No,
Oh, Miller was 5th.
Miller was 5th, and Dermar Johnson was 6th. Chris Mims 7th. Jamal Crawford 8th. Joe Prisbilla 9th, and Keon Dooling 10th.
And I think the best player in that draft was like Michael Redd at 32 or something.
Or Turkoglu. Hito Turkoglu was pretty damn good. Speedy Claxton, Deshaun Stevenson. Yeah, this draft is trash.
Terrible draft.
Khalid El Amin.
Yeah,
Who else we got? Let's
draft.
see. Oh, LeVar Postel. Yeah, this was
Was Redd in that draft?
Don't see him. Eric Barkley. Wow, that's a name. Yeah, no, this is a trash draft. So Jamal Crawford and Kenyon Martin were like the main prizes of that draft.
Miller had a good
and Turkoglu was good. And Desmond Mason won a dunk contest. Quentin Richardson was a good player too. So
yeah, but nothing
guys,
special and nothing special. No Hall of Famers for sure.
No, definitely
not. All right, as much as it pains me to say that. All right, Alex, good stuff. Sorry about your Knicks. Season comes to an end, but guys, download it if you want to check it out. Go on YouTube as well. You can see this video and get subscribed there. But continue to check out the podcast. We'll continue to pump out content as the Knicks season comes to an end. And we'll keep an eye on the Nets in the playoffs versus the Bucks. Alex, talk to you later.
Let's go Mets.